Hi, it's Peg and Des on
Homeland.
Alright, Carrie's unstable, the CIA is in trouble, and Dana is sending selfies of herself. It's
Yes.
Homeland's back.
Yes.
Before we dive in, I want to remind you guys, please subscribe to the channel and remember to give us a like on our video.
Absolutely, and make sure to check out the other videos on our channel. This week is all about Congress. Congress is swinging the big stick.
Yeah. Right, so, I wasn't sure how they were going to start the series or where they were going to start the series after it ended last season, but it turns out it's starting with Carrie is facing a congressional committee that is looking into and investigating what happened, and she's blindsided by this congressman who seems to be very angry and has it out for her.
Right. Saul even makes a comment that this same congressman who's leading this particular inquisition has historically had a problem with Carrie. I don't know what that problem was because I don't quite remember him from previous episodes, but she is having a very hard time answering these questions. She looks flustered, and they even present her with some documents that she didn't anticipate receiving.
Yeah, I mean, I immediately thought, let's put Claire Danes up for the Emmy right now from this episode because she immediately, you could tell Carrie's off. She's shaky. She has tears in her eyes pretty much the entire episode. She just doesn't look herself at all.
Not at all.
And we find out why, because she goes home and her dad is there and he looks at her board of where Brody might have been and he's like, "You're off your meds again, aren't you?"
That board was just as obsessive as her behavior has ever been.
Yeah.
The thumbtacks, the strings, it was a catastrophe, and her father immediately recognized it in her behavior.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I thought her father threw some shade at her when she said, I'm fine, I'm under a program and a doctor, and he was like, well, fine, I hope he comes get you when you're strapped to a gurney yelling all kinds of bloody murder. And I was like, ooh.
Her father is not beat for the 8 hours sleep, 6 hours or 6 miles of running, I'm eating lettuce routine. He said, if you don't pop a pill, I don't know what I'm going to do with you. But, I mean, in addition to the obsessive behavior he notices on the wall, we also see her attorney look at a notepad, and the scribbles on the notepad are clearly demonstrative of people who are going through some manic behavior.
So I paused the TiVo because I wanted to read some of that notepad stuff, and I saw a little Easter egg in there. There's a reference to Princess Bride. For folks who have seen The Princess Bride, know that Saul, who his real name, oh my god, I'm forgetting it now, but he played a character in The Princess Bride, and he uttered a classic line, "My name is Inigo Montoya, you killed my father, prepare to die." And in the notepad it said, "You killed my son, prepare to die," and I thought that was really cute.
Wow, you really went deep with that one. Okay. So apparently Carrie has hidden meanings. I actually may need to go back and take a look at what's on the rest of that notepad.
Well, she's drinking, which is
heavily
a bad way to self-medicate.
Heavily. I mean, well, not only is it a bad way to self-medicate for the average person who's not going through any kind of psychiatric issues, but it is terrible for people who have bipolar.
Yes, and she is also indiscriminately having sex with random dudes she meets at the liquor store. So Carrie's out of control.
She's off the rails.
But she's not so off the rails that she doesn't know that someone in the CIA is leaking information about her.
Right.
Because the congressman confronts her with that, was it deposition?
No, it was, you're talking about when the congressman gave her the document that allows Brody to go
that
free.
Deal.
Right.
Right.
I forgot, there's a formal name for that document, it's escaping me right now, but that document, she didn't think that document got out, and clearly it did.
Right, so Saul is now head of CIA, we see, and she tells him to find a leak. But Saul has bigger issues. CIA is really under attack, and he has to figure out how to save the agency.
It was under attack the first time through violence, and now it's under the attack by Congress, because we see that after the attack happens, they don't even bother to come out to start cleaning up the site. And Saul makes a great point that when the Pentagon was bombed, they started with that right away. So everyone knows that there's something wrong, but something's also not quite right with Saul. He does not seem comfortable with the kinds of decisions that he's being required to make in this new role.
well, he's not making any decisions, which his wife brings up. And I was surprised to see the wife,
right.
when she's back from Mumbai. Clearly they're trying to give their marriage another chance. And she actually says to him, you know, you're also not making a decision about our relationship.
Right.
And I didn't quite understand this scene, and I thought maybe you might have an idea of, she kisses him on the forehead after she says to him, we haven't really talked about this. She puts her hand on his stomach. He puts his hand on hers, and then she retreats. I didn't understand. Like, they look at each other, and then she leaves, and I didn't understand. Was he basically saying, I don't want to do this now, in that gesture? Why did she, like, run off?
Right. I think that she was hoping he would give her some sort of declarative sentence about what he wanted. Because remember, just prior to that, she was saying, we don't even sleep in the same rooms. And he said, well, I thought that's what you wanted. She said, well, what do you want?
Right.
But he never came around to say that. Notice that after she asked.
Yes.
She asked, he never answered. So she kind of went back to where, to where she was and kind of in that limbo that they've got going.
I see. Okay. Yeah. I mean, ultimately, he does make a decision with the help of his aide, Dar Nadal.
Yes.
And they decide to go for the targets.
Which Saul is clearly uncomfortable with, because his whole thing is the CIA is not a killing agency, we are an intelligence agency. And although that's an obvious fact, it actually rang with me, because when I think about different government agencies, I think that all of them are killing people.
Me too.
I didn't really say to myself, maybe it's not the responsibility of the CIA to be murdering folks. But
I 100% agree with that. I also thought, really? CIA doesn't just murder people? I thought that was the point of the CIA.
Right, but Saul is clearly telling us that's not what we're supposed to be doing, but that's what we'll do today. And they do the 6 coordinated attacks. We have to talk about Quinn, because his role in the attacks is enormous.
So Quinn decides, he's sent out to bomb one of the guys that's actually in Washington, right? And he can't do it because he sees a child in the car. And it reminded me of a scene in The Godfather where a similar guy who's sent out to kill the senator decides not to do it with a bomb in a car, decides not to do it because he sees the whole family show up in the car. And ultimately, that hitman gets killed for his decision not to do it, and the guy who kills him kills the family anyway. Which essentially is what happens to Quinn, right?
Right.
He waits until the guy goes home, and the window for this operation is really tiny, so he manages to get in there, kills the terrorist in question, but also accidentally kills his kid.
Well, he's killing everybody. I mean, he was not looking too much when he was going into the house. I mean, the precision with which he moved through that house astounded me. But to a certain extent, how is it avoidable? I mean, you can't wait until someone comes on the other side of the door to reveal themselves. And then he even immediately recognized where the man would be hiding, because remember, he walked in the room and just shot in front of the desk and killed him right away. Yeah. So this is not an operation where you have a lot of opportunity to really assess the situation. So I felt very badly for Quinn, but I will say this: when this episode opened and it showed him making a bomb, I couldn't tell if that was a flashback to show the bomb that was used to kill all of the people at the CIA. Right. And I was saying, oh, is this really Quinn? So, I mean, of course, later in the episode, we understand that that's not the case, but I was wondering if we had our guy right now.
Well, I think that was meant to fool us. I think a little bit of misdirection.
Right.
So they carry off the attack. Saul goes to Congress and says, look what we did. CIA is awesome.
Congress is the least bit impressed.
Right,
so Congress was like, it's great that you were able to get that done. I just want you to know, however, we will not be distracted.
Yes.
And he said those exact words. We will not be deterred.
Well, there's a news story that comes out. There's more leaks, and this leak is huge, right? It's the fact that Carrie was sleeping with Brody.
Right.
And they throw that in Saul's face during the session.
Right.
And Saul proceeds to drive the bus over Carrie like I have never seen. He doesn't just drive the bus over her, he backs up and drives it over her again.
He goes in and he talks about how she has mental health issues, how she lied about those mental health issues, how she was fired from the department. He really laid it out. And you can actually see that Congress is buying it.
Yes,
I mean, and
yes.
so even though he's rolling the bus over Carrie multiple times, it's working in terms of his goal of making the CIA look like a credible agency. And Carrie is sitting at home at the same time, absolutely devastated by this.
I don't know that Saul had a choice in that moment, but I did feel very badly for Carrie. I really did.
If it comes between you, an individual, and the agency, what do you want me to do?
Yeah. So let's talk about the Birdie family. So we see that Dana is, where we last left off, must have tried to kill herself.
Right. We learned that this episode, but I will say when I saw her in that group session, I thought back to last season where she got in trouble for marijuana, and I couldn't tell if she was there for drugs. Of course, until her mom comes in and we realize that she tried to kill herself. When her mother was having that conversation with the dean of the school, I felt like Jessica was so disconnected from the real issues. And he was even trying to tell her, ma'am, you need to wake up and understand what's happening. But Jessica's whole thing was, well, how much do I have to watch her? Right. And how are we going to pay for this? Because her family is devastated by the fact that there's no income.
Yeah, I mean, I think that this, I mean, if your daughter tries to kill herself and your husband's potentially a traitor to his country,
right,
and you don't have any income, I'm guessing that's a pretty stressful situation.
Right.
I'm not that surprised that she's choosing to focus on the less emotional parts, the more practical parts of her problem. But the doctor was kind of like, wake up, lady.
Absolutely. I thought that, so we're also watching Breaking Bad, and I thought that this storyline is very comparable to what's going on in Breaking Bad if you watch that show, because here we have yet another family. The matriarch is left devastated, the man has run off, and she's left holding the bag. And I don't know if this is, you know, when are we going to see some television wives who are able to hold it down?
Well, she's holding it down. She's looking for a job. They said she's looking for a job. I mean, her mother had to reverse mortgage their home for this, but she's doing the best she can.
I mean, not to say that she's not doing the best she can. It's just like in the absence of these men, these women's lives just fall apart completely.
Welcome to society. I don't know what to tell you. I think Dana does seem to be doing a lot better, though. She has a new man.
She always has a man. Dana stays with the man. Marijuana, acting up at Quaker meetings, getting her wrist cut. She stays with a man.
She not only does she have a man, but she's sending, her and her man are exchanging naked selfies, which I don't think any good can come of.
No.
So I would advise you not to do that, Dana.
No.
But yeah, we'll see what happens with that. I think that she seems to be doing better, but she did overhear her mother and her grandmother talking about her.
Right.
And she seemed pretty sad about that. So I'm sure that we'll learn more about that situation as the show unfolds.
Absolutely. Well, I'm looking forward to next week because I do want to see what's going to happen with this congressional hearing fallout. I'm sure this is going to be a thread throughout the season, but I do want to see the immediate implication between Carrie and Saul.
Absolutely. So please remember, subscribe to our channel and give us a thumbs up on our video.
Right, and make sure to check out the other videos on our channel.
All right, everyone. Bye.
Bye.